Welcome to the Great Makeover Kitchen Audit. Look closely at the split-screen digital workshop right in front of you. On your left, we have a raw, undercooked essay text, absolutely bleeding with harsh red marks. Those marks indicate massive structural defects, broken logic, and missed command words. Now, on your right is the Michelin dashboard. This is actively tracking your assessment objectives, AO1, AO2, and AO3, live. Right now, those numeric dials are sitting at an absolute 0. You haven't even turned the stove on. Today, we are tackling one of the most notoriously botched recipes on the entire Cambridge AS and A-level accounting syllabus. I'm talking about the payback period calculation. I am your master auditor, and let me tell you, I cannot stand sloppy paragraph structures. I despise weak thesis statements, and if you completely miss a command word, you are literally cutting out the core seasoning of your essay, instantly losing up to 60% of your available mark yield before you've even plated the dish. Joining me on the line today in our virtual kitchen are two student apprentices whose text structures need some serious, urgent help. First, we have apprentice Alex on station 1. Alex is constantly telling me, "Chef, I swear my definitions are solid. I just like to dump all the terminology on the page first so the examiner knows I memorized the textbook." And you know what I tell him? I tell him that is exactly why his essays are unanalyzed, overcomplicated piles of raw data. You cannot just throw heavy, uncooked ingredients into the pan without reducing them down into a clear, evaluative argument. Then, on station 2, we have apprentice Sam. Sam's favorite excuse is, "Look, my presentation is beautiful. I format my sentences fast, I get to the final mathematical number, and I move on before the timer runs out." But what Sam doesn't realize is that he's serving a beautiful presentation of a completely empty plate. Rushing the preparation steps means you forget to include the core analytical ingredients demanded by the specific context of the question. Today, we are going to audit these structural failures together. We are going to transform your responses from raw and sour to perfectly plated and strictly top tier. Let's get to work.
Here is our examiner's masterclass roadmap for today's audit. We'll start with Section 1, the payback period problem, then Section 2, core conceptual principles, Section 3, the method mark strategy, Section 4, mastering critical analysis, Section 5, top examiner warnings, and finally, Section 6, the final appraisal. Let's move right into it.
Section 1. The payback period problem. High stakes, high confusion.
Read that quote on the screen. Let it really sink in. This isn't just my opinion. This is a critical health and safety warning sent directly from the head chef, the principal examiner for Cambridge 9706. They explicitly state on the record that the payback period calculation is one of the most misunderstood areas in accounting. Now, I can already hear Alex complaining in my ear. He's saying, "But Chief, I genuinely don't get why this is considered so difficult. I memorize the exact payback formula every single time. Initial investment divided by net cash flow. Boom, done. I have the entire calculation completely committed to memory. How is that misunderstood?" And this right here is exactly the problem, because that is exactly the raw, uncooked approach that ruins a candidate's score. Rote memorization of a formula without grasping the underlying business principles is exactly like trying to bake a complex, multi-layered pastry by just staring blankly at a bag of flour. You can know the math inside and out. You can punch the numbers into your calculator perfectly, but if you just dump raw numbers onto the page without structural logic, the examiners see right through it. They want a cooked, analytical argument. They want to see that you actually understand what that final number implies for the liquidity, the viability, and the risk profile of the business.
So why do students completely freeze up when they are handed an unfamiliar context? Sam tells me all the time, "Chief, it's those unfamiliar scenarios. It's like walking into a high-pressure 3-star kitchen and being handed ingredients I have literally never seen before. A brand new manufacturing business, a software startup, a retail expansion. I panic because I can't apply the formula to these weird scenarios." Well, listen up. That panic happens because you are treating the payback period as just a static, isolated math problem. It is not just math. It is a dynamic appraisal tool. Think of it as a razor-sharp chef's knife. The Cambridge syllabus emphasizes that top-performing students exhibit a connected, conceptual understanding that is completely transferable. It absolutely does not matter what meat is placed on the chopping block. Whether it's a local bakery, a multinational tech firm, or a massive industrial plant, you must take that appraisal knife and adapt your cuts to the specific business scenario in the prompt. If the business has severe cash flow issues, a fast payback period is an absolute lifeline. It's the only thing keeping them afloat. If they are cash rich and highly profitable, maybe the speed of payback matters a little less and overall return matters more. If you don't adapt your logic to their specific scenario, your response tastes completely sour to the examiner.
Section 2. Core conceptual principles. Building the foundation.
Let's inspect your raw ingredients right here.
The payback period is defined as a systematic, evidence-based appraisal method to evaluate investments, requiring clear definition of terms before use in extended responses. But look at this raw text block Alex tried to plate up yesterday. I am running a harsh, thick red pen straight through it. Why? Because he started throwing around heavy jargon. He's tossing in phrases like net cash flows, liquidity constraints, and capital expenditure without defining a single term. He tries to defend himself saying, "I figured the examiner knows what they mean. I wanted to save time and get straight to the heavy terminology to sound professional." Never, ever assume the examiner will fill in your blanks. Throwing undefined jargon into the pan is an absolute disaster. The examiner reports explicitly state that candidates consistently confuse key terminology. You must firmly define your terms before weaving them into your extended analysis. Defining your terms is the base layer, the thick, rich roux of your entire essay. If you do not build that strong base, your extended response will completely collapse under its own structural weight. Clear, accurate definitions prove your technical competence right out of the gate and lock in those foundational marks.
Now Sam will look at this and argue, look, as long as I calculate the final payback timeline correctly in years and months, isn't that enough to pass? Math is math, right? Absolutely not. Look at the Michelin dashboard on your workstation right now. Look at those 3 specific meters. Assessment Objective 1, Knowledge and Understanding. Assessment Objective 2, Analysis. Assessment Objective 3, Evaluation. Cambridge isn't just testing your ability to punch numbers into a calculator. Successful candidates don't just show basic knowledge, they demonstrate absolute competence across all 3 cognitive domains. If you just do the math, your AO1 meter fills up a tiny bit, but your analysis and evaluation meters sit at a dead, flat 0. That is a failed dish. You must move fluidly from extracting the raw data into analyzing the relationships between those numbers and culminating in a fully justified evaluation of what the business should actually do. You need all 3 to secure the grade.
Section 3. The Method Mark Strategy. Scoring through process.
Okay, let's try to follow this 5-step procedural framework. Step 1, deconstruct the question. Step 2, apply relevant principles. Step 3, execute analysis with clear notation. But right here is where our apprentices hit a massive structural roadblock. Alex is sweating, telling me, "Chief, I'm extracting the data, but I can't get my evidence links to hold together. The text is totally raw and falling apart." And Sam is panicking. "My notation is a complete mess. My timer is running out. My cumulative cash flow columns aren't aligning. And I don't know how to format the verification for step 4. Kitchen freeze. Before we unlock this 5-star paragraph structure to transform your final grades, we need to optimize your revision recipe. Take a second right now to subscribe to Ace the Exams at the handle @AceTheExams and hit that notification bell so you never miss our weekly grade makeovers. Whether you are cooking up results at IGCSE, O levels, or AS and A levels, you need this edge. Okay, unfreeze. Back to the line, timers are running. Listen to me, both of you. You are hitting this roadblock because your facts are not blending with your evaluation. Your evidence is dropping out completely. We use a strict structural matrix here to blend it. First, deconstruct and extract precisely what the prompt asks for. Second, select the exact appraisal principle needed. Third, execute with clear notation, meaning you physically show every single line of your workings. Fourth, verify your cumulative cash flows against the initial outlay to make sure the math actually balances. And fifth, present your final answer in the appropriate professional format. If you show clear working at every single step of this sequence, you lock in method marks as an impenetrable safety net. Even if your final calculation boils over under pressure and you get the wrong final number, you still walk away with the lion's share of the marks.
Section 4. Mastering Critical Analysis. Securing High-Tier Bands.
Let's inspect this terribly sour response string. We are looking at the comparison on the screen. Let's look at the raw descriptive paragraph Alex just plated for his past paper answer. He wrote, Project A pays back in 2 years. Project B pays back in 3 years. Project A is faster, so the business should choose Project A to save money. Look at the dashboard. Harsh red marks everywhere. The AO3 evaluation meter is dropping to absolute 0. That is pure, raw, descriptive analysis. You are doing nothing but listing facts and extracting basic data from the table. It tastes like a plain, unseasoned boiled potato. It's boring, and it scores terribly. We need to recook this text live. We must elevate it to evaluative analysis by using comparative connectives. Sam, try to build a proper logic string out of this. Sam says, okay, how about Project A recovers its initial investment in a highly efficient 2 years, whereas Project B requires a prolonged 3 years. Yes! Excellent use of the comparative connective whereas. The Michelin meter is rising. Let's keep going. Build out the evaluation. Sam continues. Conversely, while Project A offers faster short-term liquidity, we must also evaluate the total net present value over each asset's lifespan. Therefore, despite the slower payback period, Project B may actually yield higher long-term profitability, fully justifying its selection if the business is not currently facing immediate cash flow constraints. Absolutely brilliant. You identified similarities and differences, you used comparative connectives like conversely and therefore, you supported it with specific context regarding their cash flow constraints, and you firmly drew a conclusion to justify your recommendation. That perfectly balanced structure is exactly how you secure those top-tier bands. That is a 5-star paragraph.
Section 5. Top Examiner Warnings. Decoding the Pitfalls. Welcome to the interactive viewer taste test arena. Viewers at home, look at that giant number 3 on your screen. The principal examiner reports have identified exactly 3 major repeating mistakes that completely poison a candidate's score. I am issuing challenge 1 to you right now, the visual ingredient scan. Imagine a complex source data chart displaying cumulative cash flows. You have a 60-second visual countdown timer running in your head. Can you extract the single highest value data trend before the screen resets? Most candidates can't. They get lost in the noise. Which leads us directly to challenge 2, spot the poison sentence. We are going to reveal examiner logic live and see if you can spot exactly where poor structural precision drops the overall score, before our apprentices make these exact same fatal mistakes on the line. Here are the 3 traps that catch 90% of students. Trap number 1, confusing cause and effect in the appraisal. Trap 2, forgetting to check format and presentation. Trap 3, providing generic answers not linked to context. Let's look at Sam's paper. For his final answer, he just wrote that the payback period is 2.4. He tells me, I didn't have time to calculate the exact months, so I just left the decimal. Slash. My red digital pen is striking right through that. You fell headfirst into trap 2. You forgot to check your format and presentation. The examiners warn repeatedly that practical application develops professional skills. Leaving a raw decimal with no unit, is it 2.4 years, 2.4 months, 2.4 decades, is incredibly unprofessional formatting, and it instantly costs you marks. Always convert that decimal into months. And what about Alex's evaluation paragraph? He wrote, the payback period is a great method because it is simple to calculate and easy to understand. Slash. Another massive red mark across the board. He fell straight into trap 3. He just dumped a generic, pre-memorized textbook fact onto the page without linking it to the specific stimulus material provided. You must never serve a generic, pre-packaged answer. Always link your cause and effect directly to the specific business context in the prompt. If it's a bakery, talk about their oven upgrades. If it's a tech startup, talk about their software development cycle. Context is everything.
Section 6. The final appraisal. Your exam checklist.
It is finally time for the 5-star plating. Look at this compliance matrix. This is your ultimate exam checklist, mapping your cognitive levels directly to examiner rewards. If you are operating at the descriptive level, your action is just extracting data and defining terms. The examiner reward for that? Just basic low-level knowledge marks. It keeps you from failing, but it doesn't get you an A. To move up to the analytical level, the action required is interpreting relationships between those numbers and showing your clear working out. That secures the safety net of method marks. But to reach the ultimate evaluative level, you must compare alternative approaches and fully justify your recommendations based entirely on the specific context of the business. When you do that, look at the Michelin dashboard. Your AO1, AO2, and AO3 meters max out to a perfect 100%. I'm distilling this entire masterclass down to 3 universal culinary rules for your exam. Rule 1, the 3-step ingredient prep. Decode your terminology and extract your data thoroughly before you write a single sentence. Rule 2, the heat control formula. Manage your timing strictly so you can show clear workings at every single step without rushing. Rule 3, the pass line review checklist. Verify your professional formats, years and months, not decimals, and double-check your comparative context links before you dare hand over that exam paper.
Look at the final question glowing on the screen. Are you ready to move beyond raw, descriptive calculations and deliver the fully justified high-tier evaluations the examiners actually demand? The payback period calculation is so much more than a mathematical formula you punch into a calculator. It is the ultimate test of your analytical and evaluative accounting principles. Remember to apply this complete grade makeover structural framework to ensure your final grade actually reflects your true potential. Keep practicing with those specific business contexts, write out absolutely every line of your clear workings, and make every single mark count.
And before you leave this kitchen today, I have one final directive for you. Take control of your revision plan right now. Subscribe to Ace the Exams at the handle @ACEXams. Click that notification bell for our weekly grade masterclasses. And right now, drop a comment below sharing exactly which Cambridge subject and level, whether it's IGCSE, O-Level, AS, or A-Level, you are preparing to conquer next. Class dismissed. Let's get out there and ace those exams.